For it to have been that far away, but still that bright, had to have been a huge fucking.
Yeah, discharge for sure.
But I can tell you for my son, that's not the most pleasant way to be awoken out of a dead sleep as a teenager. So it's been probably a rough day for him today, I imagine, just with being shot out of the. Oh, did bombs just go off? We were talking about the thing about like mom living in, we are, well, except for now the whole world is like that, but living in conspiracy world where you get paranoid about everything, but it's probably not that bad. I knew it was a storm. It was different. I knew it was raining going into it. But yeah, it was the experience.
I was thinking the same thing, that it really speaks to people's state of mind and kind of where we are mentally, right? Emotionally and mentally. When you hear a big boom, you're like, "Oh fuck, okay, who bombed us? Where did that bomb fall? Damn." Just feels like we're on the precipice.
Yeah, things are tensing up. We'll see what happens though.
We sure will.
I mean, look at the late '80s. Russia and the United States, duck and cover, all that kind of nonsense. And nothing happened. To the United
Anybody
States,
here? I don't
duck
think
and
there's anybody
cover,
on
all
the
that
call.
kind of
I'm wondering in chat. Create content on TikTok. Like
There
now,
was one.
I'm almost
Are
half
you
tempted.
are you asking if I do? Because I do, yeah.
Oh, Travis, are you back? Are you ready? We can say hello to you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I thought maybe I indicated I was here, but if not,
Yeah, I've never even been on TikTok.
yeah, go ahead. I'm an expert at hating TikTok. What do you want to know?
What do you think would happen if you made a daily video about Taiwan being its own country and free and independent and needs to stay that way? Just a daily reminder that Taiwan is its own country,
Your channel would probably be gone.
free and independent. I'm just curious.
Well, why don't we, why wouldn't we want to make a test run and see what happens, right? You just run that thing up the flagpole and see who looks, but no one ever does, right? That's the same old story, you know? Can't you hear that song, Flagpole Sitta, right? I run it up the flagpole to see who looks, but no one ever does. I don't know, man. That's a good question, but what's it gonna?
I just wonder if ByteDance or whoever it is that owns it, if they're so not at all associated with the CCP, then surely they would allow videos maybe denigrating some of the horrible human rights violations having been committed by the Chinese Communist Party against the Chinese people themselves, and potentially against the future Taiwanese if they don't fucking leave Taiwan alone, given the fact that Taiwan is its own country and needs to stay free and independent.
I mean, like, what are we talking about, dude? Right? Think back, and I'm sorry that I can't be on camera because I'm live. What?
I said plutonium.
It's fun to say. Just say it with us. Plutonium.
Plutonium. I'm cascading my fingers together too. Anyway, I'm live on my channel right now.
Confirmed.
Yeah. So I'm streaming on my channel. What with this phone call? But anyway, so that's why I'm not on camera to have like a semi kind of like face to face talk with you. But
Well, I'm not on camera because Zach's too pretty and I can't compete with it.
oh yeah, well.
You get.
Yeah, that's it. Come here.
But
I'm on camera, but just not for any of you fucks.
yeah, I mean, but think back to what the Vietnam War, like, where did that get us? Where did the flower power go? The daisies in rifle barrels. We did that.
They all went inward.
We
need Eastern philosophy is what we need, and we need just to sit around and get some transcendental meditation going on.
Well, no, but what I'm trying to
that doesn't work. We'll all join the fucking corporate workforce and realize that what we really need is a goddamn 401k, and we'll just abandon this whole shit we were doing in Rio.
All right. Yeah. No, but I get your your passion to go in that one direction, but that's not the direction I'm like thinking. So they both exist, both of what you're saying is true, but also I'm saying like, so what if you make this ripple of a little peep of a little like paying of attention to what now? Like who's gonna pay attention to this little blip that you're like wanting to say, yeah, free the be like them. They're still they're the only free state ever. It's like that attention's never gonna go anywhere. It's not gonna produce anything.
It's gonna produce something only. I mean, it's you know the people that are in charge by who you're not allowed to criticize.
Right. Sure. Absolutely.
So it's not that you're expecting to draw a huge audience, other than an audience of one, and that is some member of the Chinese Communist Party. I'm just curious if they will censor pro-Taiwanese, anti-CCP videos on TikTok. I'm just curious.
I know they let so much shit go on TikTok.
Right. Yeah. It's right.
That censoring that would be like, whoa, what are you censoring that for?
Do they let so much go?
Right.
This is sort of the big conundrum that they're trying to deal with now. Is it because that site is so controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, as is pretty much any quote-unquote private corporation in China who just gets a controlling share owned by the Chinese Communist Party, so now it's all just basically state-run. But they've got all that data, and not only do they have that data, they have control. How much control do you ask?
All of it.
Look at it like this. I have been doing shows and conversations with Walter for almost a decade because YouTube, in all of its infinite wisdom, decided to recommend to me a Flat Earth video. Somewhere, somebody wrote an algorithm to control the videos in such a way that they thought I should be watching a Flat Earth video. And there you go. Man,
that's not... Yeah, but see, even YouTube falls to the capricious whims and fancies of the universe. You know what I mean? That wasn't just YouTube algorithms, man. That was you waking yourself up, in this residual... What?
But we know we do have YouTube algorithms. We know those exist.
Yeah. I'm just embellishing it beyond that. Of course, all I know is YouTube, and all I can understand are algorithms. I get it. But I also tend to believe that the entirety of our existence isn't an accident. It's sentient. It knows the beginning and the end and everything in between. And it can conjure up any moment in time that it wants to, understand that moment in time while everything else is going on and not lose a step. Right? I'm talking about God, right? I don't know. I've never met God, but that's what it would take to be that thing. To be in charge of all of this with all of these synapses firing. Think about even karma for a moment, right? Even if you don't believe in God, if you're, Eastern spiritual, you believe in karma. So who's in control of that? Because karma means that you get what you give, right? You put in...
Come back in your next life, and how good you were as a person before determines what you're going to end up being in your next life.
Right, but my point...
If you were a big-ass dickhead, shithead, then you're going to be a dung beetle for your next life.
Well, okay.
Shit around.
I think it's a little more finely nuanced than that, but I totally get what you're saying.
Kind of what they,
because one of the things that I was saying in my conversations, and I've had some really amazing conversations this past week that have made me almost rethink my desire to pack it up from here, because I've got this niche down. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm having amazing conversations, and I want to see where it can go. But I was having a conversation with someone, exactly about this, and it was just so interesting to be able to talk to somebody who wasn't exactly where I'm at, but was still aware enough to have that kind of a conversation. And it's just been really just, I don't know, encouraging. I don't know. If you didn't notice, I completely lost track of what I was saying and then just started spitballing because I couldn't remember. I couldn't get the thought back. So that's what happened.
I do that quite often.
So there's a kiss for you. There's my first one. But if I'm allowed to just be whatever I am right now, like I had this realization.
You're not. You're a boy. I'm sorry.
If you could be something else, that'd be.
You can't be whatever you want, Trav.
I've got a list of things I'd much rather you be. You could just pick one off.
All right. Well, tell me what they are. Yeah, let me know.
No, go ahead.
And I hope that I can paint this picture that's in my head because it's very obvious and like an aha for me. Okay, so 27 years ago, there is no YouTube, there is no Tubi, there is no streaming services, nothing but one radio, one television station, one television show that everybody tuned into 27 years ago. Before there was streaming and DVR and all of that, there was The Truman Show. A movie about the entire world watching the most mundane events in a man's life. Everything is there 24 hours a day. Everything this man does is on camera, and people watch it at different times. I don't want to watch it when he wakes up and takes a bath. I know when that is. He's got a regiment. I know when to tune into. But nonetheless, everybody in the world is watching one channel, one content creator whose name is Christoph, and that is his, in a sense, in this allegory that I'm just spinning off the top of my head right now, YouTube. So imagine that Christoph creates this network called YouTube. There's only one channel, there's only one show, but everybody is watching that one show. That's 27 years ago. That story we all think is like, oh yeah, you know, they're hiding things from us, and you know, the world is not what we think it is. Yeah. Not just that. Get ready, right? Because you are Truman. Right now, in some fashion, you are either watching or listening to someone else through this medium, and you're watching them bake cookies or gut a fish, or, you know, wait for their 8-point buck to walk in there. Talking real quiet. Like, everybody's watching Truman. Everyone is Truman now. Do you see what happened? Like, I'm Truman. On my channel right now, I'm pretending like I have an audience. You know what I mean? Like, except it's the exact opposite of Truman. Truman didn't know that he had an audience of the entire world. And he didn't know, and he was like, oh, I don't want this on. I don't want to.
That's what made it interesting.
Right? But nonetheless, you have, like, just if you don't know what TikTok is, this is what TikTok is. Wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, open up TikTok, see who's live, and watch how many people are just lying in bed. This is the host. Lying in bed, waking up, going, hey guys, what's going on? I just woke up. People by the thousands tune in to watch this woman wake up and talk about whatever's in her. So I'm telling you, that's what we are all in this Truman. Now there's just millions of us. Right? Because I'm creating content for someone else to watch either in real time right now. Shout out to Liz and whoever else, you know, Brian CB. Like, there's people then who are then watching this show at this particular time. So I'm a Truman. Cammy's a Truman. Josh and Walt and we're all a Truman in this show.
Now, think of it this way, Trav.
Yeah.
So when you're on these live streams and stuff like that, what if, you know, the the mega elites, we'll just say the magic people, the wizards and witches in Harry Potter, you know,
Yeah.
that class, up there. What if when you turn off all that stuff and you actually think you're home alone, that's when they turn on and watch you through all these devices and all these different cameras that are in your phones, they're in your televisions, they're in your computers. Let's go see what Travis is doing today. Well, he's live right now. Okay, well, I'll set up a notification for when he turns off his live stream. And then he'll go about his normal day, and that's when we watch. So we all could really be Truman. You could have a crowd of, 100,000 people watching you do your daily thing every day.
Well,
that
that's
could be taking place right now.
I know. That's what's so fucking surreal about this whole thing. I get what you're saying. Absolutely. I've thought about that, and my mind goes, But I think that what you have to offer is light, life, and love. And I think that Cammie has the same to offer, and Josh has, and we're all here because we believe that our contribution is more than ourselves, more than just what we think, more than just what we have an opinion about, right? So that's why I'm creating what I'm creating. Like, somebody could say to me, oh, look, you're just an egotist, you're just an egoist, you're a narcissist, you just like to hear the sultry sound of your own voice. I'm like, yeah, that's all true. But what about what I'm saying? Because that's why I'm creating the content I'm creating, is the message that I have is monumental and will be the future of science. The stuff that we're talking about, the stuff that Cammie has yet to say, right? Because she's brilliant, Like, who knows? Who knows what she's thinking? Like, nobody knows us. Nobody knows this little niche of nut jobs. But she's doing amazing.
With this AI, they are getting.
Yeah, I get
really
you. I know.
Crazily close or really good at guessing what you're going to do next.
Right.
Yeah. That's the crazy part. They started even talking about, we're going to be kind of like, what's that movie with Tom Cruise? Minority Report, where we're going to do pre-crime, where we suspect that you're about to commit a crime. We'll just come and stop you. We're not going to.
That's insane, man.
To act.
Like, if
before you act.
Yeah. So look, watch. If you have a relationship with someone in real life where you don't know what's real, get out of that relationship. That's like what Zach just kind of described, because that's what Minority Report is. Like, you don't know, like, I don't know if what you're telling me is true or if you're trying to manipulate me, and and that's where you're like in that twilight zone of trying to figure this stuff out. And that's why you need people like us to talk about this, because you might have this experience but not know what you experienced, And then so it's like, that's why we have these conversations, because somebody would go like, oh, wait a minute, I think it's all like fitting into place right now.
So even though the Whitley Strieber books back in the 90s became known as abduction books, that he talked about his abduction experiences, that was mostly the first book, which was Communion. As it progressed and this experience he was going through changed and evolved, he quickly became, that actually happened in the first book too, where he became really quickly convinced that these things had nothing to do with space or faraway stars or any of that shit, that they were here and they'd always been here, they'd always interacted with us in a way that did things to change us spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever, for their own ends, for our ends, for whose ends. All that is the mystery that he began to try to unravel.
Who's this again? I'm sorry, say it. Who's this again?
Whitley Strieber. He wrote a book called Communion about his abduction. He was a famous author. He was getting to the level of Stephen King. He had like 3 movies.
Before he was abducted, he was already well known?
Before he was abducted, he was well known. And so then he had this experience that he recalled one night out of nowhere, talked to the people who were actually at his cabin, who also had that experience. They began to remember these things which had been suppressed, and they all freaked the fuck out. So he wrote the book, took it to his publisher. His publisher wouldn't fucking publish it because they didn't want to ruin their money horse. So he had to take it to another, and he only wanted to publish it as nonfiction, and they wouldn't do it. They only would put it out as a novel. So he had to go to a different publisher, quit contracts and all that.
So, okay, look, my skeptical mind is like, okay, like I want to know the backstory. Because if you're the one guy that starts to think about a memory that you had, but you're not sure if it's a memory, like, what am I remembering right now? Like, you know, you're remembering the abduction, but you don't know what you're remembering. So, like, it's like, how are you going to start putting that putting those pieces together? And then when you see something that doesn't necessarily correspond to reality, you're like, who do I go to talk about this with? Like, that just blows my mind.
Back then, I mean, back then there weren't shows every other night about UFOs, and there wasn't Ancient Aliens on whatever channel, and there wasn't YouTube with all the stuff we see. It was strictly him having an experience that had altered him in a great way, and he needed to share it, and his publisher wouldn't. So as it progressed, like I said, it became clear to him that, like, historically these things were called different things, you know, little people, fairies, whatever. Always children, changelings would be, you know, part of it. There was always some kind of birth issue and tied up into their comings and goings and all this stuff. So anyway, the point is, as it progressed, he began to be shown things. He began to experience things, out-of-body experiences. It was crazy when he started talking about his first time out of body and seeing the gray haze on everything. It flipped me out because I'd been seeing that every time and had never read about it in a book. And just all these different things. So in one of his experiences, he is shown this place. He called it a plane. He didn't call it a planet. He didn't call it a place. He called it a plane. And on that plane, there was this field of yellow flowers. And he was told that field of these yellow flowers was where the sins of the world were buried. And right beyond that field of yellow flowers was what felt like a city, but not like our cities, just a conglomeration of people, entities, beings, whatever. But for some reason, it felt empty, not deserted, just at the time he was basically flying over it and seeing these things, he could tell that every building had nobody in it. And then he could see this central area in this city that looked sort of like a coliseum. And as he got to that area, he realized that what was going on in that Coliseum was this experience of people watching our lives, these beings watching our lives, but not just watching our lives. There was a place that you could go into and step into a person and be that person.
Oh my God. Stop talking. You're blowing my mind, man. You are just listen. Stop this right now. Like I wanted to stop you. I felt like I was listening to you talk about something that you were just making up, but at the same time, it was like making sense, and I was following along. I'm like, where is he getting this information? So all of this information that you just
that's right. What all this was from Whitley, but I was lucky enough. I went to a few different. They were called Project Awareness. It was like the early days of doing conventions and stuff. And so I went to a few of those where he was going to speak because his stuff touched me greatly. I was going through a lot of the same things he had been through. And so got to hang out. We stayed at the same hotel. We had breakfast together. We had time on the beach talking about these experiences, you know. And I asked him over and over.
This is the communion guy?
The communion guy, Whitley, yeah. And I asked him numerous times. I'm like, okay, so you keep getting all this great result from these horrific experiences you're going through, because they were what I was going through. And I'm like, dude, I've never felt like, oh, our space brothers are here to save us, you know?
Yeah.
I never felt that. Terror.
Right.
Sheer terror in every aspect. And I'm like, so how can that be? To me, an enlightened being doesn't commit those kinds of atrocities upon another being. And, you know, that to me seems evil. And he was like, well, you know, and I was like, dude, there's people,
listen.
Like, no, but there's people getting freaking good results out of being kidnapped, out of being, you know, whatever. That's their soul and spirit making that happen. It wasn't a good experience. It was a horrible experience, but they were able to grow from it. So maybe that's what they're doing here, whatever. And that was the thing he kept coming back to is it's changing him in positive ways. So he's going to still go with it as a positive outcome. But anyway, the whole idea of that thing you were saying about us all being in the Truman Show, it's probably on so many levels so true that it's insane. And that whole idea of him stepping into that lady and dancing and stepping into that young child's body and playing in the, like, you really need to read these books. Thinking back on some of it, it so coalesces into the things we all are trying to figure out right now.
And the crazy part about the story you were talking about earlier, about how it's like a memory that you can't remember. You know, I have one of those. The human brain, I don't think they have any clue why it does it. But some things are just so traumatic that you can't remember that it happened. Even though you're standing right there, you're watching it take place, you saw it, but you can't recall that memory. There's like something happens. It's like you have a VHS or a DVD that always skips in one spot. Like it skips this.
Yeah,
this
it's
line.
deja vu. It's a glitch in the fucking Matrix, man.
Yeah, I've had this, but it was a very traumatic thing. It was a motorcycle accident that I saw when I was 14. And I remember up to the point, and then I remember just waking up in my room, sitting on my chair like, what's going on? Where am I?
So you were in the accident?
No, I just saw it happen.
So how did you see it happen?
I was playing hide and go seek, ditch, and I was hiding. It was dark out, and this motorcycle came flying down the road doing like at least 105, they said. And I watched my buddy's dad pull out of his, it was only 35 miles an hour right there. So see, he saw a light way down the road and thought, oh, I got plenty of time to pull out and, take off. And he backed out, and as soon as he backed out, the bike just smashed into the back of his minivan. And I was like in the person's front yard right where it happened.
You were out there at that
street.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember right up to the point of impact, pretty much. I remember the girl going flying off like a Roman candle on fire a little bit. I've been able to recall that one. But then everything after that is just like gone. I wake up in my room, and that's my next memory.
You're Donnie Darko.
It's weird, but this isn't just me. This is a lot of people who have had traumatic things happen, or that they've seen, that their brain just cuts off and says, nope, we're not going to put that one in the memory.
Yeah, but that's so crazy, though, because you know that, I don't know, but I'm just going to conjecture because it just makes sense. That we have the ability to rewind the mental tape of our mind and go back as far as we want into our own memory. Like, that's who we are. We don't know how to do it. We can. We should be able to do that. Like, even to recall what Zach's saying. Like, he should be able to crack that code and go back there and get into it.
I want to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All of those things. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Everybody is at that different level, right? So he might not be, right. But he's talking about it. It's something that he experiences, repeatedly as his physiology brings it up, whatever, So I'm just talking out loud about generalization of whatever these things mean. These hints and allegations that the universe gives us that it's actually not forgotten about us,
Well, I haven't really dug deeply into the whole, abductions experience. There was a psychiatrist, John Mack, who, kept getting these patients who would describe this experience, and they kept coming across to him as giving off the same psychological profile and the same, emotional reactions as someone who had been raped. And that really intrigued him because that doesn't usually come across in anything else except someone who's actually been raped. And so that made him dig deep, and to the point that he found all these people that experienced these same types of things with these same really bizarre entities and doing horrible different things to them. usually have to do with their children, their unborn children, their genetic makeup, things like that. And so he was I believe he was a Harvard guy. He was like that level of, known in the community of his profession. And he put all that at stake to put out that book saying, look, there's something going on with these people. This is happening. And the memory erasure that happens with traumatic things like you're talking about, that happens to rape victims, that happens to people who are abused by their, whoever growing up. It is definitely a factor, both in a protective manner and when you can deal with it, it'll happen,
right.
It'll come back, that kind of thing. In fact, right now I'm rereading the Eagle's Gift, which is one of the Carlos Castaneda books. I think it's like the third, more like maybe the fifth book. And in it, Carlos is going through this experience with this lady who is part of a group. They do this. It's all about Yaqui native shamanism is what the whole book is about. And so he's going through all these experiences that are like literally otherworldly, but he also goes through experiences he thinks are real world experiences that he's going through at daily work things and all that. But then he finds out he was leading a dual fucking life because this guy, Juan Matus, who was his shaman teacher, had abilities to alter his perceptions in an instant, like striking certain areas of his body, certain tones he could sing out, things like that. He would literally alter Carlos in that manner. In the real world,
man, you're talking Jedi mind trick shit, man.
Dude, it's nuts. And so he and this lady started uncovering that they met this whole other group of sorcerers through Don Juan, who were his people, his tribe, his group. And they didn't even remember any. I'm getting chills telling you because the book is really freaking me out right now when I'm reading it. And so, yeah, him uncovering these memories of living a dual life, truly. Every day of his life, he was living a dual life. It's just the most insane shit.
Knowingly?
Yeah, a series of books.
Was it knowingly, or was it like this Jekyll or...
It was being done to him by Don Juan and by this other gentleman named Silvio. What's his name? Mattis too? Anyway, they were doing these things to get him prepared to become the next group leader of this little, and it's a whole thing about some are seers, some are dreamers, some are stalkers. It's a whole thing.
Oh my God.
Hours to get into it.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of what we deal with, and that's why I went back to reading those books again.
Wow.
So those are another group.
That sounds so like dense. Like I can't even imagine dipping my toe in that direction right now.
It's pretty heavy. I read those books when I was in college, probably in my 20s. And then my buddy who used to hang out with us and chat a lot, hasn't in a while, Trippy McGee, he and I, we had some interesting times when we put our will and our intent to it through that same idea of warrior's intent. That's what it's all about. Anyway, I don't want to get us sidetracked on all that because it's a whole other thing. But definitely that idea of memory being so malleable and us not even knowing it's happening, that so just breaks my brain.
Well, as an anecdote, I had this memory of working in a restaurant. And I can see myself going into it and, like logging in and checking and worrying about which section I was going to have that night and checking this, that, or the other. And I remember this memory over and over and over again, and I'm 25 years old and then I'm 37 years old. And I've got this memory that comes up every once in a while and it's like there. And now I'm 40 and then now I'm right now, and that never happened. It was a dream. Because I never worked in that place. Those people never existed. That restaurant wasn't real.
I have dreams that I could swear are real. And they pop into my head all the time. But some of them are so fantastical that I know there's no way that it happened. But
I know that I've
multiple times in my dreams. And then I have memories of like my dreams. of me being there. It's weird. Like, you'll see something and it brings back a memory, or hear a song and it brings back a memory. Well, I'll see something. I need to pay attention to that. What brings forth this memory?
Well,
But yeah,
my
it's
my
just
whole
crazy.
philosophy right now on what we're talking about is that we are a duality because there is another Travis that I am not aware of, and that is my my stalking butler. I think, as Tools phrased it in Sober. I think it's called stalking butler. He says something like, hovering like a stalking butler. But we have this other id, we have this other I, that thing that tells you those dark things that you don't want to think about, or I would never say that to myself. Then who is that is saying that to yourself, right? Then who is that? That's you. But that's not you. Like, you've got.
I don't know. There's people who would disagree with you. They would say that there
That's
are
fine.
entities out there that we can't see,
Yeah. No, no,
that
no,
are all
no.
around us, and
Okay, but here, how about
that is
this?
that voice in your head.
Okay, yeah. I can go with that. So now, how about this, right? So instead of just one voice being in my head, let's say that there are 10 entities trying to talk to me, or trying to say things or put thoughts into my head. How do I hear them in my head? Hold on, I'm going to think a thought real quick.
As that same voice you just heard. That's how they come across.
Yeah, but see, that's me. I don't know that
No.
that's in it. No. It's the same voice.
That's how schizophrenics hear it. They don't hear it in some different weird voice or an actual audible noise. They hear their voice in their head saying this crazy
Okay.
stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to dispute that because I don't have that
Yeah,
experience.
this is all I've learned from. I don't have that either, but this is what Jerry Merzinski, a gentleman who's 30 years of working with schizophrenics exclusively.
I
Yeah.
thought they had disembodied voices. I didn't think
It's
that was-
varied. It does happen where they do hear other actual voices.
Right.
But
So then that goes
the
outside of
majority
my.
the time, it is in their own voice.
Yeah, so that goes outside my pay grade, right? Because we talked about this before. I think it was last week, Zach, where you said, red balloon, or whatever. You're a very, very visual thinker or whatever. You know what I mean? So, like, I get it that certain people don't think along those lines and they see things differently, and you can get to the math. You can get to the result of the equation in a much quicker way than someone else, but you still get there. You know what I mean? So I get that we see things differently, and that's why I think that the conversation can be so interesting. If you just leave it open to the fact that, like, this is just my experience. Like, what's yours? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, you need to see. I mean, the first show was great with Jerry. Blew my mind, changed my whole life. But the second show with Jerry, he actually brought on one of his
people.
Well, yeah.
What show are we talking about?
I Have No Sphere on a Friday night. But it was one of his patients, someone who has recovered, that Jerry actually helped to get rid of the voices.
Yeah.
He came on and spoke for a while, very openly.
Wow.
It was awesome, dude. Just an amazing conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, truly is. He's actually been having quite a few great shows of late. I've been checking Jerry's channel out every time something new pops up, and yeah, it's a deep well.
So let me just come back around and say, okay, in my experience, for me, I only hear me. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so if someone was going to say to me, do you know that that's a demon entity speaking to you? I was like, how would I know that? Because
You don't. That's the trick.
but yeah.
That's the hook.
Yeah. But see, like, what's the evidence
But you
for
know-
that? Hold on.
You know inside your heart when you have that crazy thought of, I'm just gonna smash into this oncoming car. Just a flash in the pan. All of a sudden you're driving down the road, singing a cool song or whatever,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden
Yeah.
I'm gonna just drive right into this car. That's
Sure.
not you. That's not you. That's them fishing. They do it to all of us. It's not just schizophrenics that hear these voices. We all do.
Uh-huh.
But schizophrenics, they get a bite. They get a real reaction with the schizophrenic.
Uh-huh.
that acts upon these planted ideas.
Yeah. So okay. So let me ask you. Okay. So what is the spectrum of like what these entities will put in? How can I ask this question? You're saying to me that in this scenario, that the suggestion in my mind to drive into a oncoming car, right? That thought can be isolated to something that's not me, because why would I ever want to harm myself? So then that can't be me, right? And so then when I hear that, like, how am I supposed to know that that's not me? Like, this whole dance in my head, I'm just swimming right now. This is just blowing my mind.
No, Travis, you're not. That's the rub, But inside, when you have to think to yourself, why did I think that? It's because
Thank you. I was waiting till you finished so I could say, when you have one of those weird thoughts and then immediately think, what the fuck? That's them, dude. Like Ian saying it right there in chat. If it's a negative thought, it comes from them. Why would you hurt yourself? Why would you hurt your cat? Remember when Patricia Steer was on and we were talking about this with her, and she was like, yeah, you're sitting there cutting chicken and you think, I could cut my cat's leg off. What the fuck's that about? I remember that exact thing she said, that instance of it. It was like, yeah, there you go. Why would you fucking ever think such a thing as that?
Just have that thought. Where did that come from? Yeah, because it wasn't you. When you have to ask the question, where did that come from?
Okay, yeah. So let me try to go back to what I was thinking before real quick, because if we're talking about a suicidal tendency, I get that. So then, is that the only thing that it does as an influence, or does it do everything negative? Like, say, I want to change this about my life. Is this entity the voice that says, you don't really want to give up drinking, do you? I mean, come on.
I'm not sure.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
It could also be that one that's going, yeah, but you're a real piece of shit. It's not necessarily, hey, you don't want to give up drinking, but it's, God, you're so fucking worthless. Every time.
Every other time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's my question, right? So where's this entity? Does he exist? So that all of those negative thoughts is this thing, because, dude,
it's crazier than that, Travis.
Hold on. I'm sorry. So like a month ago or something, I drive for Uber, right? I have tons of times to think. I have this script in my head right now where this alien comes, and it's like body snatchers, right? This alien comes and inhabits my body. And so then the alien is sentient and knows itself as I. But then the alien doesn't know that I am I, for me, that he then just possesses. So then he then starts to have his thoughts, and he thinks he's in control of my hands. But at the same time, I'm there in the residue, and I'm trying to figure what the fuck's happening to me, because these are like, I don't want to act this way, but I feel like I'm supposed to start to think this way. This is just like this weird science fiction, like Black Mirror episode in my mind right now. You should take notes. This is a very good idea. And then, so this alien that took over Travis's body thinks that his I thoughts, when he says, I am now going to do this, is just him. But he doesn't know that actually there's now no separating my connection through, neurosis or whatever those, those, I don't know, synapsy kind of connections that happen in your brain. You know what I mean? Like, now my thoughts are, hey, I don't want to go in this direction. And he's like, who the fuck said that? Like, I'm the only one here. Like, why did I just think about doing the opposite of what I want to do? Like, that's what it would be like. That would be insane.
Okay, think of it this way, Trav. Like telemarketers, right? They have a script in front of them that they read. They call you and they say, hello, Mr. Finley, blah, 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 and they go through their little script. That is how these things interact with us. Jerry would say he knew what the voice in the head was going to say to the person before it would even say it to the person.
Okay, so now we're talking about adepts, right? People who have a higher level of consciousness. Because I think that's what that would be like. Like, that person is closer to being a Jedi than I am at this point. When you're at that level of having that much acuity in terms of what you're describing, Zach,
yeah,
to me,
years of studying these people, and these people from different places, never met each other, all are saying that the voices are saying the exact same things to them. And then
the exact, but very similar.
Very similar.
Always,
yeah.
It's always dark.
The best.
Why can't? I'm sorry. Why can't that just be?
Go ahead.
Why can't that just be me? Why do you have to appeal to an entity? That's where, like, that's what my zetetic mind goes to, right? Because after all, I don't believe anything unless I can say it. So, like, if I never thought of my I being someone else than I, where would I ever get that idea? Except if you came at me with it, and then I would say, where did you get that idea? Because all you've ever known is I. So you wouldn't have told on yourself, so to speak. Like, how did you get this information? Right?
That's where Jerry's
because not all of us are always tied up into them. Some of us have been fighting them since we got here.
Well, the common theme in psychiatry and psychology is that it is them, right? It's a mental issue. There is no entity. This is some mental defect that is individual to all of these schizophrenics. But then, and that's why you don't encourage them to listen to the voices, right? You don't
talk to the voices.
Real, because
yeah.
it's all
hold on.
But Jerry says, no. What if we talk to the voices through these people? And that's when he started noticing all these patterns. Because, okay, well, what do the voices say? So he starts treating these patients by acknowledging the voices.
This is like real-time sixth sense, like, kind of shit.
Yeah.
What you're describing made me completely think of
the. Back and listen to this Jerry episode. It'll break your head. It really will.
Yeah.
And there's still stuff happening. Yeah, I am too. I hit it regular. Ian in chat, I saw say the same thing. He watches Jerry all the time too. I mean, it's like yeah, it's when they started talking to him, that's when it really got like, oh fuck. Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. So
well, but
I'll find it and link it to you.
Yeah, please do. I mean, it's interesting to even try to wrap my brain around it, but
I have two things real quick. And one I had for just a second and lost. The other one was a guy named Edward Mordrake. Are you familiar with Edward Mordrake?
No.
All right, so I'm just going to read this off of Wikipedia because it's going to be the easiest. So I'm just going to start right here. It's an account described Mordrake's figure as one with remarkable grace, talking about how he looks, basically. And it was similar to that of Antinius, whoever the hell Antinius was. But the second face on the back of Mordrake's head, supposedly female, reportedly had a pair of eyes and a mouth that drooled. The duplicate face could not see or speak, but it was said to sneer while Mordrake was happy and smile while Mordrake was weeping. According to the legend, Mordrake repeatedly begged doctors to have his demon face removed, claiming that at night it whispered things that, quote, one would only speak about in hell, end quote. But no doctor.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
This then led to Mordrake secluding himself in a room before deciding to take his own life at the age of 23.
Oh my God, that is wild. But I could feel everything. Like, I could understand and relate to every single word that you read.
So there was an account of Mordrake's story, detailed in the anomalies and curiosities of medicine. And they did a pretty good job.
Oh man, that was vivid. That was
one
vivid.
of the weirdest and most most melancholy stories of human deformity.
I'm intrigued. I want to listen to more. That was great. I loved it.
So there's a whole school of thought that says that we're all twins in the womb.
Uh-huh.
And either a reabsorption occurs, or a fight occurs, or an abduction occurs. And that twin is taken. And I know whatever, but these are things I've dug into quite a bit. And that to me speaks hugely of that idea of that reabsorption not finishing, that being a conduit for whatever latching on to this gentleman and causing him fucking hell, obviously.
You lost me. I got lost on that one.
So he has a face on the back of his head. If you were trying to reabsorb in the cellular state or in even the, pre.
Wait. We're okay. So we're talking about a living human being who has a twin that is not the cell didn't divide properly. It basically, is that what you're describing? Something like that?
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
All the time. Andy Garcia, the actor,
Yeah.
absorbed his twin. I think he had one like. I think it was almost like.
See, that's a joke. That's a joke in the My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That's
Yeah, people have had teeth in their hips.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's an inside joke in that movie, and I've never thought anything about it until just recently, or for whatever reason. But I find this conversation absolutely fascinating. Oh, here's what I was going to say because of what you said about schizophrenics, right? Is the Prime movie, the cartoon series Undone, because it links shamanism to schizophrenia, because they have the same ventricles at least in the show. They make the claim in the show that's not a medical show, right? It's just for entertainment purposes, right? But they show that when you scan the shaman's brain and the schizophrenic's brain, they're the same. Like they're built and they're wired for that same frequency. So then that's why they hear the same voices. It's just that the shaman is raised in a culture where they understand that you are one of the seers. Well, then you need to go see the youngest seer and he'll tell you how to, understand who you are. Right? But then the people who don't have that guidance and hear voices and like, what the fuck is going on? Just stop it. Like, they, they're supposed to hear those voices, but they don't have a filter. They don't know what it is. But they're not crazy. They don't need to be sedated. They need to be trained as a Jedi, just like you and I do.
You want to have your mind blown about these. Oh, go ahead, Walter.
Well, before we get too far, this is from the National Library of Medicine. Vanishing twin syndrome, as the name depicts, is a condition in which one of a set of twins or multiple embryos dies in utero, disappears, or gets reabsorbed partially or entirely with an outcome of spontaneous reduction of a multi-fetus pregnancy to a single pregnancy, portraying the image of a vanishing twin.
Guess what?
Simplest words. Go ahead.
Guess what my zetetic asshole brain is saying right now?
Uh-huh.
How the fuck did you know this to begin with? Like, you would have to have... No, hold on. I'm just saying... Like, you would have to have known that this woman had triplets. You would had to have known that she had them. Otherwise, when she only had one baby, how did you know she had 3 before? And now there's only 1. That you get the problem that I'm having?
I had a grandmother who knew every birth before, like she knew what the sex would be.
Okay.
From the way the baby was being carried, from the way the mother's facial features would change. My grandmother had a lot of Native American in her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are people like what we're saying here, these people who have these voices, who see these things, don't get diagnosed correctly, and they turn out to be, people Jerry would deal with. But people in the culture become the shaman, become the magician, becomes the sorcerer. So this idea that there are people who know these things, I mean, that to me is what I grew up with. So it's not a outside the box type of thing.
But
this idea of the vanishing twin has been confirmed since the ultrasound numerous times.
They've had ultrasound for.
I said this ain't Joe's psycho crazy.
No.
This is the National Library of Medicine. So
I
know fuck medicine, but you know what I'm saying. This has been documented. It's not just.
I hear you. No, man, I hear you. But at the same time, I think my at least conundrum is valid, because you would have to have known that there were 3 or 4 or 5. Like, you should have had quintuplets. Like, where did they go? And then you were like, because then it's already happened. Like, you can't do it. Like, you didn't know it was going to happen. Like, they weren't filming it all in one event. Like, we didn't know it was, look at this event that we actually didn't know was happening. Look, the twins are actually turning on each other. Like, they didn't capture this in real time. Like, how would you even know what was happening?
I mean, I'm kind of scanning through the list here, and I mean, it talked about things like there would be more than one, what they call gestational sacs, the afterbirth. You would know, okay, well, this was not just, there was something going on here more than just this one who's in this fucking sac. There's 2 more sacs. That kind of thing. I mean, there's been evidence of it prior to ultrasound. Here, I'll send you the article. Hang on.
Anyway, like, you're talking about something that you have a lot of familiarity with, but to me, I'm just thinking, like, my God, this is just another, like, mind-blowing amount of information.
Oh, absolutely. It is a lot.
Drive you insane if you let it.
Yeah. That is so fucking crazy true, man. And it's so weird.
Looking at the sky, Travis, and trying to figure it out.
Oh my God, man. I'm like,
was going crazy. It was making less and less sense. I learned it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't learning by reading a book.
Right.
I was learning by going out and measuring.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not supposed to make sense. That's the conclusion I came to.
I don't know, man. I think I'm getting pretty close, man.
I think Cammie's got some ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. Cammie, come on.
Blowing my mind.
Blow us out of the water, Cammie. Tell us something amazing.
Yeah, just this stuff, and it's crazy because it's like it's meant to be figured out at certain times.
Yeah.
Like, we were just talking about it. We had Crow on, Glowbusters. We were talking about it, this and that, and then she sees this article that just opens everything up. Like, yeah, this happens. This happens naturally. Here's the chart that NASA and all them use to show this happening, and yada. It's like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it becomes this whole, that's like an example. I think you might agree. That's an example of the Matrix, because they're looking at the same thing you are, but they're interpreting the data completely different than you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all on a heliocentric model basis.
Right. He can't not see what he has been programmed to see,
But yeah, just mind-blowing stuff. I can't wait till she has some time to sit down and think about it and put together her presentation, and yeah.
Well,
we're working out on Glowbusters Tech right now. We covered just polarization of the sky.
Yeah.
Before we got into the birefringence of gases and this and
that
and all this crazy stuff.
I think you said it earlier this morning. That you are looking up at the sky, you're looking for the moon, you can't see it, and then you look back and know, fuck, where did it just came out of nowhere.
It's just right there. Yeah,
exactly.
Up over the horizon. It's just right there.
I know, right? Yeah, so like that's the way I felt on Monday, which would have been realistically day 2 of the new moon. But I couldn't see it the night before because of cloud cover. So the very next day it was clear out. I was always so excited. So I went out and tried to find this place, and I got set up. I got my cameras out. I'm looking and I'm looking everywhere, and I cannot see it. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, smile in the sky. And I just felt like alive, and I was like, I found you. There you are, but it's like, I've been looking like, where the fuck did you come from? Because I was just looking there and you weren't there. And so there's this polarization thing, like I call it the cloaking device of solar polarization. Like, so, the closer you are to King Solaris, if you want to look him in the eye, if you dare, it'll blind you. So then how far out from his radiance can you actually see in safety? That's the perimeter, right? That is the polarization of the field that charges and discharges the moon. And it's the opposite. When the moon gets closer to the sun, it loses its light. And then when it moves away, it increases in its light. And then when it's directly across, and they have every single angle of the moon's position has a reciprocal angle in the opposite phase. So if you have the waning gibbous, it has a direct opposite corollary in the waxing crescent, the exact opposite phase. But the light will match. If you understand what I'm saying. Right? So then when that polarization then lines up for the new moon, you can't see it because the polarization in that radiant amount of diameter or whatever it is of the sun's glory won't let you. So then think about this, right? You look for the moon in, like, you knew where it was yesterday. You saw it in the daytime around 10 o'clock in the morning, which means that it came up around 7, because you only saw it when it was like maybe 40 degrees, 45 degrees in the sky. But it's in the daytime sky, which means the sun is ahead of it in the sky, right? So you have to think about, just kind of keep those, those three body problems kind of that's a consideration to, like, where is everything, right? So then when you can't see the moon the next day, you're like, oh, I saw it at 10 o'clock yesterday, so I'm going to look around, and I know I can't see it. I know it's up there. I can't see it. It's because the sun is still too close to it with its polarizing light. But as soon as the sun gets far enough away, it's like a cascading cloak that just falls off the moon, and bring, there she is. But it's like this evanescent transition, and you can't fucking catch it. Like, that just boggles my mind and makes me want to, like, that's my leprechaun. Like, I'm going to catch that. That Twilight Zone. Yeah, man. Anyway, when I saw her, I was just so alive, and I was just like, I found you. I was just so happy. I was like, this is what it must have felt like to just not have anything to worry about, but, what's the sky doing? And, I don't know, man. It was just an amazing feeling.
Good times. Oh, man. This coffee needs to kick in.
So I have dropped the replay we did because for some reason, I can't imagine why, we were on our backup channel the first time we had Jerry. Quite unexpected. Oops, sorry. Quite unexpectedly, we wound up being struck and had to go to the backup channel after we'd already invited him on. So we did a replay the week he was going to come back, or the week before when he was going to come back on our main channel. So I put the link for the replay on our channel and the show with the lady Sherry that he worked with and the gentleman who went by anonymous on the show, but we started I think we wound up calling him his name within minutes. So before the call, and when
very open guy.
Yeah, he was amazing. So I dropped all that in this call, and I'm about to go give it to everybody in the chat. I had already dropped the story about, or not the story, the article about the twins as well for you guys there. So yeah, if we need to do coffee, I'm sorry guys, I thought I turned it down, but apparently it only turned down the phone volume, not the notification volume.
Come on, buddy.
What are you, new?
That's an awesome notification. Shout out Archer.
Archer.
I've only seen a little bit of Archer, but I'm sure I would have enjoyed it. What I saw was very naughtily funny.
Tammy watched every season with me.
Oh yeah.
Like my 5th or 6th time, probably like my 10th time through on some of them.
That's like a surprise, you would think it's like the teasing line in The Breakfast Club when John Bender said, "Ooh, obscene finger gestures from such a pristine girl." Like, you wouldn't think that someone like Cammie would watch something like that. You know what I mean? She just doesn't have that personality for it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
It's very intelligent humor. That's the coolest part about it. I mean, it's funny even if you're not smart.
Yeah.
But if you're
Right. But yeah, if you pay
and the
attention
stuff
to
you
shit, it's
learn,
so great.
like everything they say in there, and they say some crazy shit,
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah.
You go and look it up. Like they'll say a name,
Right.
and they're making a joke about something. You go and look it up. And
Yeah.
it's exactly about the joke. It's right on. Like this guy invented the elevator. They were making a joke about an elevator, but yeah, it's very factual. Like you go and look up the shit they say, and it's real. And false flags and stuff like that. The stuff they say.
Yeah. I know, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. What's up? I'm the in chat knows. Phrasing.
Phrasing, boom. Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
What does that mean? I don't know what phrasing
You
means.
gotta watch the show.
You,
Watch the show.
You would know if you knew.
Okay. If you know, you know. Hashtag
Yeah.
if you know, you know. Ho 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 ho.
Well, that's because it is what it is. I'm just saying.
Don't you know?
Oh man. So anyway,
Patty had a small gator in his driveway. I'm just playing catch up in chat right now and seeing that. So hey, that's my people there. Oh, that's a baby,
Gator.
4.5 feet. That's nothing. Yeah, he said that too. Nothing major. That's a baby gator there.
Jeez, you guys are insane. Only 4.5 feet. No thanks.
Sploosh.
Sploosh. No, you cannot. We can't not sploosh. When he comes back from the coma and everything's changed.
is this still Archer?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop.
He comes back from a coma and everything's changed.
Oh, it's great.
Oh yeah, after coma o'clock. That last one. Promise.
Yeah.
Nom, nom.
So,
But yeah, it's. Do you ever watch Bob's Burgers?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say same group of people,
Yeah.
same type of humor.
You know, the only thing that I think I really enjoy in that kind of a vein was one thing that I came across, and I'm pretty sure you'll know what his name is, but I can't think of it. But the series was called The Midnight Gospel. And
Oh yeah, I remember.
I saw, you know, the creator's name escapes me, but he was already, you know, a presence out in entertainment. But I had never heard of him before and had never known. And Netflix, they had this thing, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I'll just check it out. This is the most, like, this was one of those aha moments that I will remember for the rest of my life. This is like one of those moments. Like, I remember where I was when I first saw, you know, AC/DC, like whatever. Like, I remember, you know, coming to the realization of what I'm, you know, about to talk about or whatever. Like, it was, for me, really, really significant. But, you know, see what happens.
And what were you gonna talk about now?
Uh-huh. Derp. It just went
There
away.
was one.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Brain fart.
No, man. This is Donnie Burger. Donnie Burger is kicking my ass.
that's about the only thing my wife likes to smoke because she can get so much work done. Helps her focus, she says.
Yeah, man. It is kicking my ass right now. I'm losing so much focus.
Okay. Hold on. Here, I'm going to read the account from Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine. It's pretty good because it gets into some of his words and what he was going through. I'm sorry, this being Edward Mordrake. One of the weirdest, as well as the most melancholy stories of human deformity is that of Edward Mordrake, said to have been heir to one of the noblest peerages in England, which I thought was interesting. He never claimed the title, however, and committed suicide in his 22nd year. He lived his life in complete seclusion, refusing the visits of even the members of his own family. He was a young man of fine attainments, a profound scholar and musician of rare ability. His figure was remarkable for its grace, and his face, that is to say his natural face, was that of Antinous. But upon the back of his head was another face, that of a beautiful girl, quote, lovely as a dream, hideous as the devil, end quote. The female face was a mere mask, quote, occupying only a small portion of the posterior part of the skull, yet exhibiting every sign of intelligence of a malignant sort, however, end quote. It would seem to smile and sneer while Mordrake was weeping. The eyes would follow the movements of the spectator, and the lips, quote, would gibber without ceasing, end quote. No voice was audible, but Mordrake avers that he was kept from his rest at night by the hateful whispers of his, quote, devil twin.
You're freaking me out, man.
As he called it, quote, which never sleeps but talks to me forever of such
Oh my
things
God,
as
this
they
is
speak
horror.
of in hell.
Oh my
no
God.
imagination can conceive the dreadful temptations it sets before me. For some unforgiven wickedness of my forefathers, I am knit to this fiend, for a fiend it surely is. I beg and beseech you to crush it out of human semblance, even if I die for it. End quote.
Oh my
Such were
God.
the words of the hapless Mordrake to Manvers and Treadwell, his
What was
physicians.
you got to go back to the beginning because you used a word and I didn't recognize it, and it had to do with like his like origin or something like that. So like, can you go back to the beginning and read it again?
I sure can. So it's one of the weirdest, most melancholy stories of human deformities, that of Edward Mordrake. And Edward Mordrake is said to have been heir to one of the noblest peerages.
That's it. What's a peerage? What is that word?
Probably just your lineage.
Okay, so like that's something that I can get the idea of, like I get it, but I want to know, so I have to look it up. Peerages.
So,
peerages. Okay.
Noblest
How do you spell it?
peerages. P-E-E-R-A-G-E-S.
P-E-E. Say it again.
P rages.
What?
P rages from my pee-pee.
All right. That's crazy. That's a crazy story.
The rank or title of a peer.
Peerage.
An honorary title.
So let's say, all right, I was just thinking like dukes. If the duke was part of the
Duke of Earl.
The peerage has a role as a system of honor or award, with the granting of a peerage title forming the highest rung of the modern British honors system. This is what I'm reading on various little pop-ups. I haven't actually gone to a page yet, but that seems to be the consensus.
So I just wanted to finish this. There's only a couple sentences left. Let me start back. It says, I beg and beseech you to crush it out of human semblance, even if I die for it. And such were the words of the hapless Mordrake to Manvers and Treadwell, his physicians. In spite of careful watching, he managed to procure poison, whereof he died, leaving a letter requesting that the, quote, demon face, end quote, might be destroyed before his burial, quote, lest it continues its dreadful whisperings in my grave, end quote. At his own request, he was interred in a waste place, without stone or legend to mark his grave.
I don't know, man. That is fantastic. That is like so fantastical that I'm skeptic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these weird stories. There was a headless chicken.
But it's great writing. I'll tell you what, that's great writing.
Somebody tried to kill a chicken and I guess maybe just cut it up a little bit too high. So it took the head off but left the brainstem at the base of the spinal cord.
Uh-huh.
So the chicken was still alive, even though it didn't have a head anymore.
Yeah.
So they used to take it around to the carnivals as part of the freak show. They'd feed it like with an eyedropper through the top of the neck.
What?
I'm telling you, there's some.
Get out of here. I don't know about that one. That one's a little bit much for me.
I don't think it was that far long. I mean, it was a ways back, but I think there were still people that were able to, that were still alive.
They could. I remember. I was there.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Growing up in the era of Ripley's Believe It or Not books, I loved both the idea of these crazy, anomalous things, events, people, creatures, etc. But the artwork, it tied into the love of like drawing that I had at the time too, and so I loved those books. But it would make me always go, "Wait now, come on." And I would head off to the library and I would start trying to figure out if this was fucking real or not, So yeah, there are insane things that are tied to like freak shows and carnivals and that whole era of entertainment and what,
Yeah.
what was acceptable. It can, like, I don't even want to get into it. It can really turn your fucking hair white.
His name was Mike, just for the record. He was born on April 20th, 1945, and he died on March 17th. Well, that's Sunday, in 1947.
So 3 years old?
It was a male Wyandotte chicken that lived for 18 months after his head had been cut off, surviving most of his brainstem remained intact and didn't bleed to death due to a blood clot. Mike the Headless Chicken.
That is one.
Okay.
What did Charlotte call Fantastic Pig?
Some pig.
That's some story.
Chicken.
Yeah, that's great literature, but my ex-wife would get pissed when I'd say it.
Liz heard about Mike, even though she's green apparently right now.
Mike the Chicken. I was looking for Chili the Buffalo and I couldn't find him.
That's how you know it was tasty.
Yeah, back in the 80s. Larry, Olin, and Chili. And I could not find any mention of it anywhere. So not everything's on the internet.
Indeed, there are things that are not on the internet. I currently have a cassette of music I've been trying to find the artist for about 25 years, maybe even 30 years. And I've done all the sound hounding and all the lyric searches. And yeah, it's at this point, I'm pretty much convinced it's a demo that my buddy Chad had. It was a buddy of mine here locally in Franklin that was always turning me on to music by people I'd never heard of. And like, here's this cassette that he had recorded. It wasn't a real, it was a made cassette. Somebody had recorded for him. I assumed he recorded it for me, whatever. And yeah, for about 35 years now, I've been trying to find out who the hell that is. Because he didn't know. Yeah, it's just a new band I found. I can't remember their name. And so from that point on, that's that band. And I love the music and can't find it. There's that whole freaking what was the name of the show? That was a problem. I don't know the name of it, but that Rosa Perez late night thing that I saw Run DMC do Down with the King live, the best version of that I've ever seen. And that doesn't exist. That performance, that show, her history, it's not there. It doesn't exist on the internet, but I watched it every Friday night.
You know what they had in 1947, Travis? Motherfucking cameras. They got pictures of Mike the Headless Chicken. For the record.
I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna let that not be part of my nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Oh please, y'all showed Minion.
That's the dog formerly
Dude,
known
I
as
almost spit tea on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna shave that off tomorrow. It's coming off.
My buddy Jason, every time he grows his beard out and decides to shave it, as he shaves it, he does basically that same thing. He'll start out with like mutton chops and
Oh
do
yeah, you gotta have fun
freaking
with it for a little while.
handlebars and oh yeah.
I used to shave half of it.
I'm
And
sure he's done that one as well.
go talk to people, other people in the house. I used to do that one all the time. Or just shave a big stripe out of it, like across your face. See how long it takes for them to say something. Sometimes people don't really say anything right off the get. It's funny. Because it's not like you're seeing someone in public and you're making eye contact and looking them in the face. You just walk in the room and, hey, blah, 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 blah. And, someone might be reading or something and they listen or they might be watching something, but they don't like look at you and look at your face. And so, yeah, next time you shave, go mess with the people in your household or jump online and see how long it takes people to notice. Sue Finelli in the house.
What's up, Sue?
Hello, Sue.
It looks like it's going to happen again like it did last time. Just about the time everybody finds us again over here on the backup channel, we'll be back on our main channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it works.
What up, Benny boy?
Is Cammy gonna grace us with anything that she's thinking about, or?
I don't know.
I'm beginning to wonder if Donnie didn't get a hold of her.
She's in the background. I don't know if she's. I know she was. Her mouth was hurting her.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's been wearing the. We went out in the public quite a bit this week. She's had her teeth in a lot. And yeah, they were kind of sore. I don't know if she's still. Camera Joe. Camera Joe. No, she said no. It hurts right now. Okay, I understand.
We love her though.
Yeah, we
Send
love
big
you,
hugs.
baby. Yeah, she's listening.
Well, I just want it to be known that I'm very interested. Whenever if she's feeling up to it and it comes on, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Yup.
Thursday night, 7 Eastern, on Glowbuster channel.
I just have to remember.
Glowbusters Tech. Yeah, you can go back and watch the last one. She started breaking down just a little bit of it, but we didn't want to get any further because it's a lot. So we just started at the beginning, and then we, gave people about an hour worth of stuff to kind of chew on. And
All right.
Next week, we're going to get into the birefringence of gases and double refraction that takes place and all this crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they know about it. It's not like it's, oh, and I got to show you a video. The second son stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, chat. Oh, I gotta go over here, and do yeah, I think it's in here. Okay. Yeah, let me pause this real quick. Turn sound on. Let me share this. This is the Slough Observatory, which is, have you ever heard of that, Trav?
I have not. And you're going to be sharing your screen? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Slough
I'm
Observatory.
so glad you found this for me again, Zach, because I went through that same thing you were talking about doing, having to try to find this on that long ass.
Yeah, it's like a
fucking
10-second
presentation.
clip.
It's like just seconds, right?
Yeah, it's 8 hours and 4 minutes long. It was showing the transit of Mercury. This is Mercury.
Would you drop that link again with the timer for everybody again, so we can keep this handy for everybody, because it's definitely one that needs to be around.
There we go. I'll drop it in this chat right here. And then I will drop it in the YouTube chat as soon as I'm done playing it. But yeah, listen to what he says right here. Because, you know, Crow and Chris have captured this thing near the sun, and people are calling it the second sun, right? The one we can't see. We're trying to figure out how, and when we...
Plus...
Yeah, we put a polarized
just real
filter.
quick, you remember that period during the wildfires when it kept being caught on, like, just people out at the beach, people walking their dog, people, it was like happening all over the place during that time, because some kind of weird polarization happening in the sky with that fucking smoke atmosphere.
It's the fail-safe code that the program writer developed. These are the glitches in the system that wake us up.
Yeah,
like
this
is
a sky computer.
Yeah, this is the Slough host now. Slough is a major observatory. I think they have, what is it? How many? 102,000 subscribers. And this is just on YouTube. They have a website, and you can go and pay money and control where they point the telescope for 15 minutes. And they get all kinds of people watching, and it's all done by donations like that. But they're large observatories. It's crazy. But they're looking at this through a double stack hydrogen alpha filter right here. And listen to what he says right here.
So many interesting and fascinating facts.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some Slough astronomer Bob Berman, you'll be able to tell all your friends. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is that large round thing to the right of the sun? Well, that's our second sun. I don't know if you knew that we had a second sun, but there it is. It's normally hidden from view. NASA and other organizations, they usually hide that stuff away from us. They don't tell us the truth. But, you know, there it is. It's true. Anyway, I want to welcome our...
And that's it. Anyway, I'm going to welcome our next guest. And yeah.
Now, I've seen lots of debate on some of the Reddits and the forums about, oh, that's just British humor. He was taking a piss. And so I really want to hear an opinion from some of our people there in chat on your take on his mannerisms.
Right, because that was my first, inclination was that it was an intentional,
But
British
then
humor can be
after that,
very dry, man.
Yeah.
after that, they quit showing both of the suns next to each other.
Uh-huh.
And they would only show you the picture of the one sun. They made sure to cut that part out of it.
Yeah, I know, but that's like, man, you know what? You guys got to check out the missing research. He's made these last 3 or 4 days or so. He's made these parody clips. He uses clips from Waterboy, and then he then overlays his own dialogue down below, so you have to read it. And then he found this Japanese scene that was just perfect. He wrote the perfect parody of a flat earther trying to flat smack a glober, and the glober is beating him up because the flat earther doesn't have enough information. It's brilliant satire, right? And then people are glitching out going, are you a flat earther? I thought you would. They can't even appreciate the fact that this guy is writing like comic genius stuff. Like, it's really good. And then he just did one right now, which was this one of Hitler. So he finds this massive like scene with Hitler, and it's in German. So all you hear is "my find the sign to see the hurt," and it's like everything, right? But his script below is just like brilliant comedy, and I don't remember why I started talking about that, but I'm gonna go get it and get the link because it's really worth watching. I'll remember why I said it. Something you said made me think of it, but anyway.
Yeah. I time then, chat. Robot Polisher has been killing it lately. Yeah, I don't know how that person has time to make so many videos at that high quality of editing. It's pretty awesome. Very talented with the video editing. Reminds me of you, Walter. I don't know how you do that stuff you do when you put together those music videos, but I just can't do that stuff. You just have, yeah, it's different.
I appreciate that. Speaking of, we have not played Jeremy's video in for fucking ever, man. We need to do that.
Let's do it. You guys want to take a little break? Listen to a song?
Well, yeah, we can. I wasn't trying to run us out of here. I just was like, when you said that, I was thinking about that when I saw him in chat today. It was like, damn, we need to play his song on a break sometime. But I've been so, preoccupied the last couple of days. I haven't gotten my thoughts out correctly, it seems, quite a few times. So,
big shout out to Commercial Sound and Video. Much love, Nathan.
Yeah.
Huge supporter of Flattoberfest events. Always there to be running around, setting stuff up. And, dude, during the event, I don't know who runs around more, Karen or Nathan. I'm not sure. If it's Karen, running to go do something, or to just try to hide from people asking her stupid questions, to Nathan running around trying to make sure the audio is just right and perfect, and when it's not, man, you can see it's like business time. It's serious stuff. Yeah.
Liz is asking, what does it mean when it says copyright beside your video? I don't know exactly what you mean. Is it currently saying that next to our video?
Yeah.
Really?
Usually, well, no, I don't know if it means that. I mean, if that's what's happening, but
right. I mean,
did she get a prompt?
The chicken, was it photo? I mean,
why did she get a prompt?
Did she get a copyright? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. I see Shadow Band recently lost a soulmate pet. Definitely sending out love your way, and then you guys sending so much love. Benny had a situation where the pet went missing and hasn't been found with a move and a split, and man, I went through that too with when my dog, I was talking about Spunky this morning, the last dog I had that broke my heart when she got ran over. It was during a breakup with my wife and I when that happened, so that added like 3 tons of guilt, on it, and let my heart lead me to spend that $6,000 at the hospital, pretty much for naught. But anyway, yeah, guys, sending so much love. If anyone understands right now, I do, and I know you have all been sending amazing waves of love this way. So thank you all so much, and definitely returning it 100-fold without a doubt. And yes, you are correct. Robot Polisher has been killing it lately there in chat. I see that being mentioned a few places. Love that channel.
Thunder Chicken make a post too. Apparently he's flown the coop and is jailbird phone free. It's free
nice.
Home and
nice. Fucking A, dude. Well, I saw something in one of the, to the left on Telegram when I went to go open, I thought this call, and I hit that first, and I was like, oh shit, and then I got tied up in getting started and never went back to see who that was. So that's so great to hear. Fucking A.
I don't know who those people are. Who are you talking about?
Thunder Chicken?
Yeah.
You don't know him?
No.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time.
I know that I've heard, but I just don't. I haven't seen anything, but I know I've heard you talk about
great
him.
Impact at events.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just a great dude. He's always been somebody I feel like I've spent a lot of time in past lives with. Like when he and I do have the time to finally talk, I'm like, dude, you and me have done so much shit before together. I know that in my soul is a true thing.
Man, that made me think of the Crosby, Stills, Nash Young song "Deja Vu."
Right?
Yeah.
You know, that made me think of that Crosby, Stills, Nash Young song, Deja Vu.
Really? Is there an echo in here?
Made me think of Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
I love that song.
No,
Hey,
there's no. It must have been Deja Vu.
hey, check this out. There is an Easter egg in Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and I only heard it for the first time when I listened to the song with earbuds, because it's so subtle that, you know, if I'm driving in my tractor truck, I'm not going to hear this little tiny nuance, just this little tiny nuance. Okay. So in Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, like 3/4 of the way through it, there is this, this audio refrain hiccup that is Stephen Stills going, "Hey," but it's a reverb. It's like, "Hey, hey, hey, hey," something like that, right? So there's this.
Yeah.
There's that, right?
What
So
have you got to lose?
yes, exactly. In that point, right? And he has that little thing, and that's actually my text alert. So,
Can I tell it like it is?
oh man, yeah.
Listen to the baby.
Oh my God, yeah. This is my favorite song.
And they take us off live stream for the copyright of Zach singing the song.
But I have to lose.
Okay. So there's that part where he goes, "Hey, hey, hey," right? Everyone has heard that part, but a minute before, there is this subtle echo in the same time signature, and it goes, "Hey," and it's just so subtle, but it's an anticipation of the "hey, hey, hey," and I don't think anybody knows it. I don't think anybody knows it.
There was one of those in the song Shout. You know, kick my heels back and shout, throw my head.
Oh, okay,
Come
okay.
on now.
Yeah.
When he's doing the, now wait a minute. And right after he says that, there's a guy in the background that goes, yeah. And so many people have argued that does not take place until I play the song for them and go, listen, hear it.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's in the background. He
Right.
doesn't have a microphone or anything, but you hear him go, yeah. And yeah, people don't hear it. It's
Right.
weird.
Well, that's like those videos where they intentionally put something in that you aren't ready to see. So it says, it has two teams, shirts and skins in basketball, and it says, how many times do the skins pass the ball back and forth? So you're counting that. All the while, there's somebody walking across the screen in a gorilla suit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
you don't ever see it, So, that's just, I think, one of those situations where, excuse me for not being able to, like, twirl 10 things at once.
Yeah, you're listening for this guy's voice and the music, and you're not listening for people shouting things out from, the crowd in the back.
Hey, oh my God.
Oops, sorry.
Sorry, Walt. Go ahead.
Well, Josh, Zach knows the song really well. We talk about it often, The Two Suns and the Sunset from Pink Floyd's Final Cut. That album was one of the first albums to use three-dimensional sound. Not just quadraphonic sound, but literally stuff at a 90-degree angle from your head, 40-degree, 20-degree, 80, any direction they could put.
I have no idea what you're saying. Like, what does that sound like? What are you talking about?
So back in the day, stereo was two speakers, and that was it, left and right. That's how it was split. That's how records were recorded. That's what music was. And then quadraphonic stereo hit, and that split the music 4 directions. And so you could put a voice speaking some crazy shit far to the right back corner in a Pink Floyd song, or that kind of stuff. And they did that. And then in the era of the Final Cut, which was it'd be more like mid 80s, I guess, because The Wall was early 80s, late 79, early 80s. Final Cut was the album after The Wall. And to me, it was just as epic as The Wall. And in it, if you put a head, I was one of, putting cans on and laying down on the waterbed with a stack of albums. That was my
God, waterbeds, man.
Drugs were, that was my drugs. So I would do that and get lost in that mix. To me, that whole thing of moving sounds around your head and having those voices way off in the back, that was, to me, that was artistry. And that was the first album that used totally three-dimensional sound, not just quadraphonic sound. And they used it really well. There were a lot of hidden, like you say, Easter egg, little echoey voices, and it was like listening to me. It was like listening to a movie happen and shit. So it was really great album. Speaking of albums, I currently have Gene Clark's "No Other" in my rotation. I appreciate that very much, very much, very much. Always open to new music. From Shadow Band. Sorry, I got lost here trying to shut the music off in my ear. So.
Oh man,
I can totally hear.
There was. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
No. What Zach just did triggered in my mind, I think, a sound effect or a sound bite from Super Mario Brothers.
100%.
Level 1, 2.
Is that what you did?
Mm-hmm.
You intentionally made that noise, and it was, and I had enough experience in my years. Like I haven't heard those bars or whatever that organization of those notes in how many fucking years, and I'm like triggered by it
immediately.
You know.
Yep.
Those sound cues.
And it's so funny.
Damn it, there was another song I was going to share with you. It's gone. It'll come back. Oh, yeah. So this other version of this whole idea of splitting music and doing weird shit with sound around your head. The Blue Man Group. Yeah, no. So most people knew about them from the computer commercials in the 90s. If you dug deeper, you found out they were an artistic group of men who did these crazy things with drums and these PVC pipes they built into what they called a tumbler phone or some shit like that. They would have a piano they would beat on it. It was just all these weird things they were doing musically, but it was more artistic than actual music. And it had a lot of humor to it and a lot of commentary on culture, and it was really great. And then this buddy of mine, and that's what I knew about him. And then this buddy of mine I was working with, he was like, "Man, have you heard that Blue Man Group album? It's great." I'm like, "What album are you talking about?" So he's like, "Yeah, if you like drums, this is the album for you. Put on headphones and just thank me later." So I went home, fired up a big fat bowl, headphones, and got lost in the Complex album by the Blue Man Group. And there's this one song, and it starts with this voice saying, "Your attention, please." And then the song starts, and oh man, I got chills when I did that. And it starts, and it's all this crazy music and these drums and all that. But in this middle breakdown, in the middle 8 of the song, these voices all start harking to you at one time, like about, it has to be at least 8 or 10 voices.
Wow.
And they're saying shit like, "Your attention can be split," and all, and then like they're saying different shit all at the same time, but they've modulated it in such a way or done something with the placement of it around your head that you can keep up with it all. It's like the craziest. I'll share the song so you guys can
experience it. Please do. Yeah, for sure. That sounds amazing. So I just remembered that I threw in the Skype chat the 2 recent videos. The first one that he made is the one with the scene from Waterboy. And just take it as satire, man. You know, just enjoy it. It is just so creative. So anyway.
Yeah, I used to fall asleep to the final cut.
Of what? Waterboy?
No, that's the name of the album, that Pink Floyd
album.
I'm just seeing people.
Oh, that was a nightly stack. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That was a nightly stack going to bed with that album when it came out.
I really don't even know why I bought it. It was weird. I just saw it and I was like, wow, I've never, because that's not one of those Floyd albums that's really well known. At least, you know, like mainstream known. Not like Wish You Were Here or Dark Side of the Moon or, you know, all of those. The Wall. When I was young, everybody was talking about those. Those are the songs that you're hearing on the radio. I don't think the Final Cut has a song they play on the radio, does it? Let me go check.
Yeah, they do. It was called, hang on. I've got Blue Man blasting out behind me here. Sorry. It was called the Society.
No, but I mean one I would have heard in the 90s.
No, it was like a video. It was on the radio. If you were into radio at all when that hit, it was on. It didn't hit big. It wasn't a huge hit, but I'm trying to remember the name of the song. The Fletcher Memorial Home or something like that. Fuck, hang on.
What are we even talking about?
Pink Floyd. Their last album together. Okay, let's see. The Post-War Dream, Your Possible Past, One of the Few, When the Tigers Broke Free, The Hero's Return.
Oh, wow.
Gunner's
So
Dream.
The Tigers Broke Free was originally intended to be on The Wall. It was a song they wrote and then just didn't put. And it was, or maybe, no, it was for the album. The album that was the soundtrack to The Wall. Because if you're at all, you know, into this, you know that what the song versions you hear in The Wall movie are almost 90% not the version that you're hearing on the album, including that song when the little boy's in the church and looking into Daddy's drawer and finding the bullets and all that stuff, to When the Tigers Broke Free, which is about his dad dying at a certain battle during that war. And it got released as a EP single. It was a blip, and I tried to catch it. It sold out instantly everywhere that I could get access to it, and I never could get the single. Didn't have a version of it till Audio Galaxy or one of those song ripping early day things, Limelight, one of them, LimeWire, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that song being included on that album as a track is interesting. They must have put that on there as like later thing or something. That's crazy. Yeah, the Fletcher Memorial Home was the first song they released as a single. It didn't hit, and that pretty much was the telling for that whole album. It just really, most people didn't get it.
But who's they? Who's the band?
Pink Floyd.
Oh,
The Final Cut.
my God, I'm so lost.
A great album. Well, that was that first one that had the 3D sound, doing all the crazy shit around your head, and the hidden whispers and the hidden Easter eggs and all that stuff. But Pink Floyd, I mean, that was a band who reveled.
Oh, check this out. I got a story.
Go ahead.
One of my writers yesterday was this young girl, young woman. She's no more than 25, if that. And I think she was probably like 18. Anyway, she has a Pink Floyd shirt on, and she's black. Okay. I said, she gets in the car, I greet her, and we start driving away. I said, I'll give you $25 if you tell me one Pink Floyd song. And she goes, what are you talking about? And I said, your shirt, Pink Floyd. She's like, yeah. I said, do you know what that is? She said, no. I'm like, why are you wearing that shirt? She's like, she said, I got it because it matched my shoes. So you got this millennial snowflake, whatever she might be, or whatever, she has no clue that she's wearing, like, the gods, Led Zeppelin style level of, Yes style level of just amazing musicianship. She had no clue. So here we go. Ready? We were chatting, and I said, would you like to hear what this group sounds like? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, what song am I going to choose for this person?
What song do you pick?
What song? And I'm looking at her in the rearview mirror, you know, she's black or whatever. I'm like, what is this? And I think of The Great Gig in the Sky. Just because it's just this soulful,
solo.
yeah, just this, yeah, you know. And so that's what I played for her. And so we listened to the whole thing all the way through, and I stopped and I said, well, what did you think? She's like, I really like that, you know. And so like there's this kid that's now knows, and this is what I said to her. I said, now check this out. Now every time you wear this shirt, you can think to yourself, I know what this shirt sounds like. You know, because of this experience,
That's
this
awesome.
odd, right? I'm like, I just gave that to you. You're welcome. Have a nice day.
No charge.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So just for the record, I knew I wasn't nuts. Yeah, the album originally didn't include Tigers Broke Free. That started being included on the album after 2004 CDs. Yeah, so I'm like,
Remastered.
no, I would have loved for that to have been on that album because I didn't have a copy of that song. I can only catch it on the radio once every year or so, you know. Because it was, man, that.
Why was that? Was it always the same time every year?
It was. No, it was, again, it wasn't a huge hit. Have you ever heard of When the Tigers Broke Free?
I don't think so, no.
There you go. So it definitely.
Well, no, I just didn't know if it was like a seasonal thing, like it happened to coincide with, whatever.
It just happened to be a song that didn't get, it wasn't on the wall. They used it in the movie. They reissued it as a single called Pink Floyd Music from the Wall in the film. And it had the Bring the Boys Back Home on the B-side. And that was the single that only way you could have your own copy of When the Tigers Broke Free, or just break it down off the album and make your own copy. In fact, the first version I probably had off LimeWire was somebody pulling it from the album. I also used to have the album of the movie music, which you can't really, or you probably can now, but at the time you couldn't go buy a soundtrack album that had the song versions from the Wall movie that were totally different than than the album versions. So I had somebody had done that on LimeWire or Audio Galaxy or one of those, and that's what the description told. Hey, it took me hours and blah 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 to make this. So I hope you guys love it, and I did. It's probably still on my big stack of burnt CDs from all the computers ago. But yeah, that whole era of those songs and that movie and the artwork, the cartoons, Gerald Scarfe. I mean, dude, his artwork in that movie is phenomenal. It really, and then it was also an.
I've never watched it.
Psychedelic. Really?
Yeah.
Get a copy, enjoy a bowl, and go for it. It's definitely gonna. Yeah, it just.
Would you?
The Wall changed my life.
Really?
Oh, dude, there's no way to prepare you for what you're about to go through. Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
I envy you.
What about the whole? Am I mixing up my things? Who did the Wizard of Oz soundtrack matchup thing?
That's Dark Side of the Moon.
That was the.
Dark Side of the Moon. So it's still Pink Floyd though. Then. Okay.
Yeah, Pink Floyd.
Okay, but that's legit because I've never looked into that either.
I've done it.
I did it, but I also sat
in it
with
headphones on.
So early on in the like ecstasy era of going to raves and electronic dance music and ministry before they turned industrial, they would have these video screens on all these rave clubs that I would go to at the time, and they would have crazy imagery going all the time with the music. And I'm like, where I'd go, I knew the DJ, Super Dave, and I'd ask him, man, where are you getting these videos? And it was these demo cassettes that you could get if you knew somebody who worked at like Sears or JCPenney or anywhere they were like demoing VCRs and new TVs, which at the time were huge big boxes. And it was called The Mind's Eye. We didn't know that at the time, but that's what it was called. And it was just this crazy amalgam of people taking imagery from commercials, from the early Lawnmower Man special effects, from corporate presentations because you could see their logo in the presentation from commercials that were happening at the time, but they took it and they remastered it all into this amazing musical presentation video to trip on basically while you're dancing in a club. But if you put that on with like Pink Floyd going, hey, it matches up perfect because it's rhythmic and it all is rhythm based. And so if you have a music or a movie that's already got rhythmic keys going on, and you have music that's got rhythmic keys going on, it's pretty much going to link up all the time. I would put on Tool, pick a Tool album, and throw on like whatever movie
coincidences,
and it would match up. I mean, it's but
there are
I've
some
done
when
it too many
she's
times on my own with
she's
other shit,
singing
and it's like,
somewhere
especially
over the
when
rainbow
you're
and
altered.
looking from
Please
one
state.
skyline to the other, and that's when a plane flies in one ear and flies out the other at the exact same time.
I've done it.
There's some
I've done it.
crazy coincidences in it. Like when they do Money, dude, it's every time you hear the you see water. It's like whenever they show water in Oz, when she first gets to Oz, there's like a little waterfall and stuff like that, and the little river going through there. Whenever they show water, that thing goes It's insane, dude. It just, yeah, it broke my brain. It did. All the coincidences, I'll just say.
That is so fucking wild. So guys, do you ever like think about just like think about like what if you could have been there? You know? I mean, fuck, you know? Cuz it's like it was real, like you can, and they're what? They're 25 fucking years old. So here comes the skeptical conspiracy theorist in me. Like I really think that there's I guess a meeting of two different ways of doing this. You have artists who can play the instruments, but they're not the writers of the songs. So the songs are the messages that the elite have written that they want to be out there for the popular consumption. And then they find people who are the Paul McCartneys. They find these real people and say, these are the songs that you will sing. We'll give you credit for it. But this, like, because these guys are 24 years old, blowing our minds with lyrics that just, like, how do you fucking even know what you're talking about right now? That kind of level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Bob. It was weird. Bob pretty much said that he got his songs from somewhere else, and that person's gone now. You know, he started talking about his song, It's Alright Ma. And he went through a couple of the first lyrics. Darkness at the break of noon, shadows even the silver spoon. A handmade blade, the child's balloon, eclipses both the sun and moon. To understand you'd know too soon. There's no sense in trying. He's like, you know.
What the fuck did you just read? What was that?
That was the beginning to It's Alright Ma, one of Bob Dylan's songs.
Man,
that he says is one of his greatest writings.
You are quite the aficionado. That was good. I like that. Bob. Yeah, I know.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Huh.
He's on tour right now.
See, the thing is like, yeah, okay, so like, I got distracted by this earlier before, but I think I was saying this to you guys earlier. Maybe it'll come around now, right? So Lee Haywood is like, I had that reaction to him as like you would have thought that somebody heard Johnny Cash and was like, oh wow, that's Johnny Cash. He's everything I imagined it would be. Like, I never thought that about Johnny Cash. You know, I never thought that about any artist, you know, really. But then this guy, Lee Haywood, comes out of nowhere that someone recommends, and I just turn it on. But then everything about the song just completely just covers me up. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I love what I'm hearing right now. And so like when I'm saying like with Bob Dylan, I never just liked him. Like I could get his philosophy, like I can do it, like that's poetic, I love it. But his like my caricature of what it was in my head, I just did not want to listen to that voice. So I feel like I've missed on so much, you know?
It was Highway 61 Revisited that changed that for me, Travis, because I was the same way. I'm like, who enjoys this, man? What is the fucking deal? And
Yeah.
that album hit me. It did. It hit me in the right place. And then I can't really say there was another album that I hit hard like that. There were songs I liked. It was just one of those. Yeah, he's a definitely taste. You got to have the taste for it. I
Yeah.
guess, or the temperament or whatever.
Yeah, I loved his folky stuff, and then
But there are
when he
people
went
who don't
electric
like John
too.
Prine. Oops, sorry.
No, you're good.
You know what I'm saying? There are people who don't like his voice or his
What's his
delivery.
style?
To me, he.
Well, fuck
What was it? That's what I say, Josh.
Got no
Fuck
time for
John
that kind of
Prine
ass.
is a
What?
fucking genius. John Prine.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know who that is.
He wrote a song called Sam Stone. He wrote a song called. Oh shit! I'll just send you a list, and you just get deep and thank us later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the one thing well, not the one thing, but it's one thing that's really nice about all this social media platforming stuff is artists that refuse to sell out can still be found somewhat, you know. There have been artists that got big doing things starting on YouTube or wherever now.
Well, you know, like I know somebody who could be the next somebody. So this kid, Daniel Profeta, started a reaction channel, and when I came across him, he was in the single digits in the thousands, and now he's up to like I think 65,000 or 7,000. You know, so I've been with him the entire way, and I've seen him change what he's been doing, and I don't follow him as much anymore because he changed his thing, but I'm still behind him 100% as an artist, you know. And I interviewed him 2 or 3 times, and you know, so like he's now having shows in Georgia. You know, he's on tour for like, you know, festivals and things like that. Like this kid is I've seen him not know how to play guitar and then turn into a like Leonard Cohen loving, Bob Dylan loving troubadour. You know what I mean? Like this kid's he's got talent. You know what I mean? And it's just exciting to see that I know someone like that, at least virtually. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he's he's written I think 2 or 3 albums that he's produced himself, and so they're available. And I used one of the tracks because I loved it. And it was a kid, you know, he's like 19 years old and he's just doing stuff and putting things. But I loved his. It was really like it was like it reminded me of something that you would have seen in Dune. That was how great the soundtrack was. I was like, man, that was awesome. So I used it for one of my Fata Morgana videos because I had that, you know, ethereal feel to it, and I thought his music went well with it.
Interesting that you use Dune soundtrack as a reference. Are you a Toto Dune fan? Am I?
I don't know what that means. Look, I don't look. Hold
I
on.
had so much hope for you. I'm fucking with you, man. I'm fucking with you.
No, teach me.
Okay, so that movie came out in '84.
Yeah.
I love David Lynch. I love David Lynch. He was not the person to get to make that movie. So when you have a card passed out in the fucking lobby to people trying to give some back history to this movie they're about to see, you're in trouble. That's what they had going on. I used to still have my little card that explained who the Bene Gesserit
Really?
was, what the Kwisatz Haderach was. Yeah, all the shit you're about to be exposed to, and you're not going to have a fucking clue about it. Here's a fucking glossary. Good luck. That's literally how you walked into the theater back in '84. So I went in knowing that it wasn't going to be the movie of the book I love, that it was going to be this weird guy who had done a movie I did love called Eraserhead, and what the fuck is he doing this movie for? And boom, it started. And the music hit, and that music blew my mind. But I already was aficionado of soundtrack, so I already had the ear to go like, what? Well, left that movie, went into the mall, because it was right outside the mall, to the record store and picked up the Dune soundtrack. And when I turned it over, music by Toto, which I already knew from that movie, but I'm like, Toto, how the fuck is that band doing this music? There's a whole like history of the
Oh,
how
so
it
I
happened,
did
why
hear
it's
you
amazing.
right. When you first said
Toto
something,
did the fucking music for Dune in '84, and it's amazing. I own
oh,
that album. Every
wow.
time I break it, I would buy it again.
Oh,
I've had the CD, which at one point was like a $30, $40 CD when there were 10 everywhere else because it was hard to get. And yeah, it's one of my favorite go-to albums. I keep it in rotation.
okay.
It's probably within hand's reach right now.
Well, anyway,
In
yeah,
fact, I
so
was
I
looking
think,
it up on eBay the other day to get a copy in case
oh,
this one
okay.
goes bad.
Yeah, I think I was recalling that in my YouTube suggestions, it's the newer Dune soundtrack that I was listening to recently.
Which Hans Zimmer is one of my all-time
Yeah,
favorite guys
I
for art.
like
I
it. I
love that
like it a
album as well.
lot.
I don't have a copy of it yet, but I love it. Every time
Before,
I
you know
watch
what,
that movie, I
it made
love
me
his stuff.
watch the movie actually because I never watched the '84 movie. I didn't have any interest in it. I've tried to read Dune, and I hate science fiction that's that style. There's like this weird kind of niche science fiction that I don't know how to
It's hard.
find.
It's a hard read.
Yeah,
It's a very hard read.
I can't even listen. But anyway, I can't remember what I was saying now, but I was saying something about something. Whatever.
Sorry, I saw Israel Adams say Jeff Porcaro, fave drum dude. I love everybody in Toto. Like to me, Luke is one of my favorite guitar players ever, but Porcaro was a beast. Sorry,
Have
that
you
weird
have you
Toto
seen
geek moment.
the YouTube channel called Professor of Rock?
I used to use that dude's voice on the radio quite often. Yeah, I love that guy.
What? That's not his voice.
I know, but I used to have my version of it back in the day.
I don't know. I don't know if you're being serious or not, but
No,
so
dude, I love him. I literally like watch every drop he puts
so
out.
you
Like
know
came out
that he's
recently
talked
about fucking
he
Rush is one of my favorite new ones.
he's talked to members of Toto.
Oh yeah,
This kid who's younger than I am from Iowa
he's a
creates
younger. It's hard to pick his to peg his age. He's one of those dudes that's got a very like old soul, I guess, but he's like he seemed like he could be young, but is he
I think
young?
yeah,
It's hard to read.
no. I think I remember hearing something early on or finding out, he was born in '82. So he's like 10 years younger than I am. But my point is like this guy, if he's real, because I'm dubious of reality, of course, but if this guy's real, if he's like what
Well, that's why I went with the fake voice because he is the classic radio announcer voice that you cultivate, like you practice that like a song, like singing and stuff. You don't
Okay.
just naturally have that flow. That's why I loved it so bad because I haven't done it daily
Uh,
in years.
yeah.
You develop that voice. It's a rhythm. It's a singing. It's literally a singing to do it right. And that's why he can do it so well. He's got it down. Dude, I went and looked up the fucking like Zell. Is that the glasses he saw? Or Zenny or some
Yeah,
shit? I
yeah,
went
yeah,
and
yeah,
got
yeah,
looked
yeah.
at the site for his glasses.
All
I'm
right.
so into this dude. Yeah, man, I'm down. I'm super down.
Yeah. Oh man. So anyway, so like look, he's like his channel is a great channel. He's putting out
Yeah, he digs deep. He
tons.
digs really deep.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got his shtick, 2 beat. What would he say? 3 beats and the truth or something like that. 3 chords and the truth. So he's got everything, mannerisms down, pitch down, hands. But it's a great content, great channl. And then exposing me then
What's that
to
from? Isn't that from a U2 song? Or something about all I need is a red guitar, 3 chords, and the truth. What's
could
that
be,
from?
because that's how like geeky this guy is. Like he would know this obscure song that you're talking about because I have no idea what you're talking about.
And
But he says it on every single one of his videos. At the end, that's how he says goodbye.
Country music ain't nothing but three chords and the truth. That's a famous quote by Howard.
Huh. Nice.
All I need is a red guitar, three chords, and the truth. Oh, what is that from? Okay, red guitar, three chords, and the truth. All I've got is a red guitar, three chords, and the truth. One of the most meaningful lyrics to anyone is blah, 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 blah. I don't care, just who does it. Famous by, was originally written by Bob Dylan, made famous by Jimi Hendrix, and later covered by everyone from U2 to Elton John and the Grateful Dead. So yeah, I heard it from U2.
But what song is it in then?
All Along the Watchtower, it says in here. So I've heard
Really?
it from Bob Dylan and Jimmy, but I remember it from U2. Yeah, because it's All Along the Watchtower. Yeah, same song.
Three chords and the truth is in All Along the Watchtower?
Yeah.
Huh.
All I need is a red guitar. Or all I've got is a red guitar, three chords, and the truth.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that song. I forgot they covered that song.
I don't. That must be only in the Dylan version of that song, because I don't recognize it from.
No,
that's
the
really the
U2
only
version is the one I remember it from. I don't even remember it from the Dylan version.
Because the Jimi Hendrix version, definitely, I don't know that part of the song, because he always would alter things when he would cover it. In fact, on one of my favorite live performances of him doing Like a Rolling Stone, he tells them, "Yeah, I know I skipped a verse. Don't worry about it. Let me play my guitar."
I doubt anybody had any objections.
Yeah, but I think that would have been probably somebody who was really snooty, because like someone like me wouldn't have known that there was something missing. I would have just been taken, up in the whole thing anyway. I would have just been like, wow. I wouldn't even know if you made a mistake at all.
Yeah, exactly. You're too mystified by him playing his guitar. Like, yeah, when I was watching Rage Against the Machine, when Tom Morello was playing, like the whole time, it didn't matter if De La Roca was singing or not. The words may have been coming out of my mouth, but my focus was on watching Tom Morello do all that crazy, just the effortlessness of it, and how he was barely putting his hands on his guitar, and all these crazy noises are coming out of it. That's what I was like focused on. The words were there and everything, but I wasn't hearing them. I was seeing that guitar. That's it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you did that live, right?
Yeah, Aragon Ballroom. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, right. Sounds like it. Yeah, I mean my best story is like some nosebleed section of watching Paul Simon do his Graceland tour in like the late 80s. Like you have to use your binoculars to see him.
So I have to address something really quick since we brought up Jimmy and Badfish Bear there in chat. Jimmy was a decent guitarist with the little emoji of finger kind of thinking it over. So as a guitarist growing up, I played guitar probably since about age 15. And my heroes early on were Ace Frehley and Elvis Presley. I know it's nuts, but I love Elvis. And I would hear about this guy, Jimi Hendrix, and I would hear Purple Haze on the radio, and I would probably hear Foxy Mama on the radio, or Foxy Lady, whatever. And I'd be like, yeah, okay, get it. I guess, not really. What's the deal? It's just like, for me, there was a whole lot of the Zeppelin and Jimmy Page experience that went by me. I didn't get on that boat. It just didn't hit me in a place that went, like some of the other things did. And then one day at my cousin's, we were having a discussion because she was the biggest Hendrix fan growing up. She was always trying to get me into him, and I just couldn't get there because the guys I was getting into played a lot faster and a lot more technically advanced. And then I started getting into guys like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, and I'm like, whoa, that's way beyond. But they keep referencing this guy, and he's a god. I'm like, okay. So at my cousin's house that day, she put on a song called Castles Made of Sand. And as tears rolled down my face, I went, I get it now. And then I started listening to what he did with the leading of his guitar. Not the lead guitar he played, but the way he would use notes to tie what he was singing together through all these chord changes. It's a style you can't just pick